Hi guys, Johnny Good here for Real Home Studio. Today taking a look at what gear I take to a gig. Just before we dive straight in, I want to remind you guys to please like, subscribe, and if you've got a favourite piece of gig gear, then please do let me know in the comments box below. So a few weeks ago, we had a look around my home studio. We did the Real Home Studio Tour 2022. I wanted to share with you what gear I'm using and how my home studio ticks. Today, I wanted to share with you what gear I take to gigs on a regular basis, as still a proportion of my income is from live music, or certainly it's going to be bigger this year than it has been for the last couple of years. I run a tribute band and I also perform solo live as well. So I wanted to share with you what gear that I take along with me, what gear has been really loyal to me and has stood the test of time over the years, and what stuff I'd recommend if you're thinking about getting out and gigging in 2022. And I wanted to say before I share with you my favourite bits of gear, if you've got a piece of gear that you've stuck with over the years gigging, it's been super reliable and you wouldn't want to gig without, please do share it in the comments box below. So on to the gear. So for the main PA, I use a pair of Yamaha DBR12s. They've been super reliable. Had them about 6 years now, and they're just great. Speakers, very well regarded, and the central mixing desk is this Yamaha MG10XU. Again, very reliable, really straightforward bit of gear. Its footprint's really small, so if you're driving about in cars and stuff, this is a really great way to go. I think this could accommodate, well, it does accommodate my 3-piece band, but for possibly even 5-piece band with this small tiny footprint, it's very flexible. It's a great desk. Again, been very reliable. And then last year I invested, if I show on the back, on this little stand. Now, unbelievably, this little sort of stand attachment here, this little adapter, is about £50. So Yamaha are absolutely creaming it off making these, but they are really good. And what it does is it enables you to mount the mixing desk onto a mic stand, which is really handy. You can just throw an extra mic stand in the back of your car, and then you can mount this mixing desk, say, at the edge of stage or really close to hand, whether you're standing playing guitar or singing, or for me, if I'm playing the keys. And that's really handy to make those mix adjustments. Already within the second use, one of these little screw attachments fell out. I kind of predicted that was going to happen. Because I was taking this on and off the adapter and ended up having to put, I don't know if you can see that, but I had to put in my own sort of bolt there to keep it attached. And now I just keep this permanently attached, which is awkward because it's really hard to store. So I'm gonna have to make some sort of bespoke box for this at some point with some foam. So it's not thoroughly, brilliantly thought through by Yamaha. Something that slid in and locked in would have been so much more useful. If anyone from Yamaha is watching, that would be a great idea. But it is a great idea, if not massively overpriced. Okay, so moving on, what else have I got in my gig bag? Now, wireless systems for monitoring. I only went wireless when I started this band about 6 years ago, and before then it would be wedge speakers and monitors, which were a pain, never got on with them, particularly as a vocalist. So when I started using IEMs, it was a real revelation, and I started off and still have this setup here, which I reviewed ages and ages ago when I first started out doing the odd YouTube review, and it's from Gear for Music here in the UK, and it's a WPM 200. They're also known under the brand of Takstar, and they're plasticky and flimsy and don't feel like much, but here I am 6 years on, still using the same setup. They're cheap as chips. I've got 3 of the packs and they've run, can't really fault it. They couldn't sort of feel that much cheaper, but it does the job. Just keep it safe, put it in a plastic storage box when you're working. And on to microphones. So I like an Audix OM2. That's my favorite stage mic. I really love the sound of these. They have a sort of almost sort of pre-processed feel about them. Suits my voice, which can be a little bit muddy if it's going straight into, say, more famous microphones like a SM58. This sort of tends to be almost there straight off the bat. So that's why I like that particular mic. I'll often bring a spare along as well, like my Behringer Ultra Voice. That's an excellent mic just to bring along as a spare. Would really recommend those in a band anyway if you need some cheap mics to get started. Got a couple of drum mics here. Again, cheap as chips. Don't like having really expensive. I don't see the point of having really expensive drum mics when they're just going to be going through essentially my sort of DBR12s, and it's just going to be a little bit of backup sound on the rare occasion that we actually need to use this. Most of the time when the band's gigging, if we're playing a big sort of festival stage or something, then I'm not going to be having to worry out drum mics. Everything's going to be done for me. This is just if we end up doing something private and we end up being in quite a large venue. And I've got a Red 5 kick drum mic, literally eBay cheapest chips. Again, I think it's more than about £15, something like that. And a Superlux for the snare as well. Again, that was new, really, really cheap from Thomann. So some other bits and pieces, just some peripherals. Got a Spark TC Electronic mini booster. That's for my banjo. If you have any gear that you've put a piezo pickup in yourself, you're going to need to boost that signal. Or indeed, if you've got any gear that you need to boost the signal, or if you want a clean boost for your guitars or any other instrument, this is an excellent little pedal. So if you just want to boost that signal up when you're doing a solo or something, this is a really great tiny little pedal. And as I say, essential if you've just put a piezo pickup in an acoustic instrument, you need to get that level up. So that's a cool little plug-in, pedal. Essential as well as a DI box from Stag. Stag, not famed for their quality gear, but this is a good little DI actually, a dual DI box. It's relatively inexpensive again, and gets the job done if you need DI. Wireless microphone, again another real cheapie. This is really handy and a good tip, particularly for me when I'm doing weddings. Get a lot of people that want to do speeches, and way before COVID, people would sometimes think that I was being a bit fussy, that I didn't want to share my singing mic. But in terms of hygiene, it is a lot better to be able to have just a mic in your locker that you can hand over to someone. Much better as well having a wireless one, because it's an awful lot easier. Just plug that in at the start of the gig, have it put into a separate input on your desk, and just have it to hand for the moment someone asks you if they can borrow your microphone, which happens so often, you know, at private events when you're not necessarily, you know, up on a stage doing large gigs. So that's a really good top tip. Have one of those cheapies on hand, particularly these days when people are hopefully a little bit more aware of hygiene. On to lights. Now, when I'm gigging, we do have a slightly larger car, and we can just about at a pinch get the whole band in there, but everything has to be really well thought out and as kind of small and compact as possible, but also effective. These lights are absolutely excellent if you're gigging and you want to be on the light side. Also, particularly if you're gigging solo and you don't want to be lugging loads and loads of lights and stuff about with you. These are a great thing to offer at gigs. These are from Thomann. They're super thin floor stage lights, but they do not kick out an awful lot of light. You can daisy chain them together, which is what I do. I have 3 of them daisy chained together, and you can do a whole bunch of different light settings with them, and they're literally packed down to be in a small padded bag, and are really easy. They'll literally fit under the chair of a car or something, and so really easy to take out and gig with you, especially compared to, you know, much larger lighting rig setups. There's a really inexpensive and great way to do it. You can get 3 of those for, I think, a little over £100 from Thomann. So a great way to get started, and also to be able to offer lights as part of your package of your band or act. One other top tip to improve the presentation of your band is to get yourself a backdrop for your setup. And the most inexpensive and effective and compact way to do this is to grab yourself one of those photographic backdrop setups you can get easily from like Amazon or eBay, and they're not very expensive. 20, 30 pounds will get you 2 stands, an extendable bar across the top, and they usually come with a couple of backdrops, which is handy if you're doing video or photo shoots. But you can then crop clip on your custom made backdrop. You can get a vinyl made backdrop relatively inexpensively, and it really improves the look and the setup of your band, particularly if you're moving around from not bespoke venues. By that I mean not necessarily theatres and festivals, but if you're doing private events and you need to dress the set when you arrive with your band, that's a great way to do it that's relatively inexpensive. Of course, other things that I take along with me is a whole massive big bag of leads, and I tend to go expensive with my leads. I'm getting too old to buy cheap leads these days, so I always drop quite a lot of money on my leads and make sure I really look after them, so I know when I get to a gig everything's gonna work. And finally, and maybe most importantly, you can't go and gig without a good old roll of gaffer tape. I hope you found that video useful today. Do let me know in the comments box below, what are your essential gigging items for getting out there and gigging in 2022. Hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. Most importantly guys, go and have yourselves a great day.